Welcome. This is a simple English version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. It is written in easy language, A1, B1 level, perfect for learners of English. All long or difficult words have been changed or explained. We hope you enjoy the story and learn new English words while you read. Let's follow Alice on her strange and wonderful adventure. Chapter 1, Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was sitting by the river. Her sister was reading a book. Alice looked at the book. There were no pictures and no conversations. What is the use of a book, Alice said, if it has no pictures or talking? She felt very bored. It was a hot day, and Alice was sleepy. Suddenly, a white rabbit ran past her. The rabbit had pink eyes. He wore a blue coat. He took a watch out of his pocket. "Oh dear. Oh dear. I shall be late," the rabbit said. Alice was surprised. A rabbit with a coat. A rabbit with a watch. She got up and ran after him. The rabbit ran into a hole under a hedge. Alice followed him. She did not stop to think. She jumped into the rabbit hole. The hole was deep. Alice was falling down, down, down. She did not feel afraid. She looked around. There were shelves on the sides of the hole. Some shelves had books. One shelf had a jar. Alice took the jar. It said orange marmalade. She opened it, but it was empty. She put it back on another shelf. Still she was falling. "How far have I fallen?" she said. "Maybe I will come out on the other side of the world." Down, down, down. The fall was very long. Then suddenly, bump. She landed on the floor. Alice stood up quickly. She was in a long hall. There were many doors. All the doors were locked. She walked down the hall. Then she saw a little table. The table was made of glass. On it, there was a tiny key. Alice took the key and tried it on the doors. But the key did not fit any of the big doors. Then she saw a small door behind a curtain. She used the key. It worked. Alice opened the little door. She looked through. There was a beautiful garden. Flowers, fountains, green trees. "Oh. I want to go there," Alice said. But she was too big to go through the door. She went back to the table. Now there was a small bottle on it. The bottle had a label. It said, "Drink me." Alice looked at it. "Is it safe?" she asked. She smelled the bottle. It smelled nice. She took a little sip. It tasted like cherry, chocolate, pineapple, and many fruits. She drank it all. "Strange," said Alice. "I feel different." She was getting smaller. Soon, she was only 10 inches tall. "Now I can go to the garden," she said. She ran to the door. But, oh no! The key was on the table, and now she was too short to reach it. She tried to climb up the table, but it was too high. Alice sat down and cried. Then she saw a small box under the table. In it was a little cake. On the cake were the words, "Eat me." "Well," Alice said, "I ate and drank before. Maybe this will help." She took a bite. Nothing happened. She ate more. Suddenly, she started to grow. She got taller, and taller, and taller. "Oh no!" Alice cried. "Now I am too big again." She was crying big tears. The floor was wet with her tears. Then, she heard a sound. The white rabbit was coming back. He was wearing white gloves and holding a fan. He looked at Alice. She was very tall now. The rabbit was afraid. He dropped the gloves and fan and ran away. Alice picked up the fan and began to wave it. Suddenly, she started to shrink again. She dropped the fan quickly. Now she was small again, but oh no! She was in a pool of her own tears. She swam and swam. Then she saw a mouse. "Hello," she said. "Do you know the way out?" The mouse did not answer. Maybe he does not understand English, Alice thought. So she tried to speak French. "Où est ma chat?" she asked. That means, "Where is my cat?" The mouse jumped. "Cat? Don't talk about cats." "I'm sorry," said Alice. "My cat Dinah is very nice. She catches mice, but—" "Stop," said the mouse. "Let's get out of this water." They swam to the shore. On the shore, there were many animals, a duck, a dodo, a lizard, and others. They were all wet. "We must get dry," said the dodo. "Let's have a race, a caucus race." Still Chapter 2, the pool of tears. All the animals stood in a circle. There was no start and no finish. Run when you like. Stop when you like, said the dodo. So they all began to run around in the circle. They ran, and ran, and ran. After some time, the dodo said, "The race is over." "But who won?" Alice asked. "Everyone won," the dodo said. "Everyone gets a prize." Alice searched in her pocket. She had a box of sweets. She gave one to each animal. "But what about you, Alice?" asked the dodo. "I don't need a prize," Alice said. "No, no. You must get something too." Alice looked again in her pocket. She found a thimble. The dodo took it and gave it back to her. "We give you this thimble as your prize," he said seriously. Alice smiled. She thought it was funny, but she said, "Thank you." Just then, the mouse stood up. "I will tell you a story," said the mouse. "It is a long and sad tale." Alice looked at the mouse's tail and thought he meant his tail, not a story. The mouse began to speak. Once, a cat and a dog had an argument. But Alice wasn't listening. She was thinking about her cat Dinah. "Dinah is a great cat," she said suddenly. "She catches birds too." All the animals gasped. "Birds? Mice? Oh no." The mouse was very angry. "I don't like cats. Goodbye." It swam away. "Oh dear," said Alice. "I made him upset again." Then the other animals began to leave too. "I want to go home," said the duck. "So do I," said the lorry. Soon, Alice was alone. Chapter 3, The White Rabbit's House. Alice was walking along a path. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. It was the White Rabbit again. He was looking for something. "Oh my ears and whiskers," he cried. "Where are my gloves and fan?" Then he saw Alice. He thought she was his servant. "Mary Ann. Go home quickly," he said. "Bring me my gloves and fan." Before Alice could speak, the rabbit ran away. Alice laughed. "He thinks I'm Mary Ann. I'll go to his house." She walked to a little white house. Over the door was a sign, W. Rabbit. Alice went inside. There were stairs. She went up to a little room. On a table, there was a fan and 2 pairs of white gloves. She took the gloves. Then she saw a little bottle. This bottle had no label. "I'll drink just a little," she said. She took 1 sip. And, oh no! She began to grow again. She grew taller and taller, until her head hit the ceiling. "Oh no! I can't get out!" Alice cried. "I'm stuck." She tried to move, but her arms and legs were too big. Outside, the rabbit was calling, "Mary Ann. Are you in there?" He opened the door, but he could not come in. Alice's foot was in the way. The rabbit called to someone. "Help! Run to the garden. Bring someone strong." Alice heard voices outside. She heard them talking about her giant arm. "Let's try to pull her out." They pulled her arm, but Alice pushed back. Then they threw pebbles through the window. The pebbles hit the floor. But when they touched the floor, something strange happened. Each pebble became a little cake. Alice had an idea. "If I eat one of these cakes," she said, "maybe I will get smaller." She ate a cake. Yes. She began to shrink. Soon, she was small enough to run out of the house. Outside, she saw animals running everywhere. She ran into the forest. Chapter 4, The Giant in the House. Alice was now in the forest. She felt small again. She looked around. "What will I do next?" she said. Soon, she saw a big mushroom. And sitting on the mushroom was a large blue caterpillar. The caterpillar was smoking a long pipe. For a minute, they just looked at each other. Then the caterpillar said, "Who are you?" Alice didn't know what to say. I don't know right now." "What do you mean?" asked the caterpillar. "I changed size so many times today," Alice said. "It's confusing." "Humph," said the caterpillar. He blew smoke rings into the air. "Explain yourself," he said. "I can't explain myself," said Alice. "Because I'm not myself." The caterpillar didn't answer. He just kept smoking. After a while, he asked, "What size do you want to be?" "Not too big, not too small," said Alice. Said the caterpillar. He got off the mushroom. "One side of this mushroom will make you taller. The other side will make you shorter." Then he crawled away into the grass. Alice looked at the mushroom. One side makes me grow. The other makes me shrink, she said. She broke off a piece from the left side and took a bite. Suddenly, her neck grew very long, like a snake. Oh no, she cried. A bird flew by. A snake, it shouted. I'm not a snake, said Alice. You want my eggs, cried the bird. Go away. Alice quickly took a bite from the other side of the mushroom. Her neck shrank back to normal. Then she tried again, eating small bites from each side, a little more, a little less, until she became her normal size. Phew! That's better, said Alice. She put the rest of the mushroom in her pockets. Then she walked on through the forest. Chapter 5, The Duchess and the Cheshire Cat. Soon, Alice saw a little house. She walked up to the door and knocked. A fish footman opened the door. He wore a red coat. Inside, there was a cook, a baby, and a woman, the Duchess. The kitchen was full of smoke. The cook was making soup. But she was throwing too much pepper in the soup. Everyone was sneezing. The baby was crying loudly. Alice felt sorry for the baby. The Duchess said, "Here. You take care of it." She gave the baby to Alice and left the room. Alice took the baby outside. But the baby started to change. Its face became long. Its nose became a snout. "Oh no," said Alice. "You are not a baby. You are a pig." Yes, the baby had turned into a pig. Alice put the pig down. It ran away into the woods. That was strange, Alice said. Then she saw a smile in the air. The smile became a cat, the Cheshire Cat. It was sitting in a tree. "Hello," said Alice. "Can you tell me which way to go?" "Where do you want to go?" asked the cat. "I don't care much," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "But I want to get somewhere," said Alice. "Oh, you'll get somewhere," the cat said, "if you walk long enough." Alice asked, "Who lives around here?" "To the right," said the cat, "lives the Mad Hatter. To the left lives the March Hare. Both are mad. But I don't want to be with mad people," said Alice. "Oh, you can't help that," said the cat. "We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad. How do you know I'm mad?" Alice asked. "You must be," said the cat, "or you wouldn't be here." Then the cat disappeared, slowly, until only its smile remained. Chapter 6, A Mad Tea Party. Alice walked through the forest. Soon, she saw a big table under a tree. At the table sat the March Hare and the Hatter. A dormouse was sleeping between them. They were having tea. The table was very long, but they were all sitting on one side. "Can I sit here?" Alice asked politely. "There is no room," they all shouted. "But there is plenty of room," said Alice, and she sat down. "Have some wine," said the March Hare. Alice looked at the table. "I don't see any wine," she said. "There isn't any," said the March Hare. "Then why did you offer it?" asked Alice. "It's rude to sit down without being invited," said the March Hare. "It's rude to offer things you don't have," said Alice. The Hatter asked, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" Alice thought. "That's a riddle. What's the answer?" "We don't know," said the Hatter. Alice was surprised. "Then why ask the question?" The Hatter said, "Time won't do anything I ask." Alice asked, "What do you mean?" "Well," said the Hatter, "we had a fight, Time and I. Now it's always 6 o'clock, tea time." "That's why we always have tea," said the March Hare. "But what do you do when the cups are dirty?" asked Alice. "We move around the table," said the Hatter. Alice looked around. The table was full of teacups and plates. The Dormouse suddenly woke up and said, "Once upon a time there were 3 sisters." "What were their names?" asked Alice. "Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly," said the Dormouse. "And what did they do?" asked Alice. "They lived in a well," said the Dormouse. "A well?" asked Alice. "What kind of well?" "A treacle well," said the Dormouse. "That doesn't make sense," said Alice. The Hatter and the Hare shouted, "Shoo! Be quiet. You're waking him up." "But you asked me to listen to his story," said Alice. She was getting tired of the tea party. "This is the silliest party I've ever been to," she said. She stood up and walked away. Chapter 7, The Queen's Garden. Alice walked again through the woods. She found a little door in a tree. It led her back to the hallway with many doors. She still had the mushroom in her pocket. She took a bite and became small again. Then she used the little key, opened the small door, and at last, she walked into the beautiful garden. There were lovely flowers and grass. There were also 3 gardeners. They looked like playing cards. One was painting white roses red. "Why are you painting the roses?" Alice asked. "We planted white roses by mistake," said one. "The queen wants red roses." "Off with their heads," said a loud voice. It was the Queen of Hearts. She came into the garden with a large group, kings, queens, soldiers, and more cards. Everyone bowed. Alice didn't bow. "Who is this?" the queen asked. "My name is Alice," she said. "Off with her head," shouted the queen. "Nonsense," said Alice. "You don't even know me." The queen looked surprised. "Come play croquet," she said. So they all played croquet. But it was a strange game. The balls were hedgehogs. The mallets were flamingos. And the soldiers stood up as arches. The queen was angry all the time. "Off with his head. Off with her head," she shouted every minute. Alice didn't like the game. No one followed the rules. Then Alice saw the Cheshire Cat in the sky. "How are you?" she asked the cat. "I'm watching the game," he said, smiling. "Who are you talking to?" asked the king. He didn't like the cat. "Off with the cat's head," shouted the queen. "But he doesn't have a body," said the king. They called the executioner, but he didn't know how to cut off a head without a body. So they argued and shouted. Meanwhile, Alice quietly walked away. Chapter 8, The Trial. Alice walked farther into the garden. Then she heard a trumpet. "Come to the court," someone shouted. "The trial is starting." "A trial?" said Alice. "I want to see that." She went to the court. There sat the king and queen of hearts on big thrones. In the middle of the room was a table with a tart, a small pie. Standing in front of the king was the knave of hearts. A white rabbit shouted, "The trial begins." The knave is accused of stealing the queen's tarts. A jury sat nearby. They were all animals and cards. The first witness was the Mad Hatter. He came in with a teacup in his hand. He looked very nervous. "Take off your hat," said the king. "It isn't mine," said the Hatter. "Give your evidence," said the king. The Hatter told a strange story about tea, butter, and time. The queen said, "He's wasting time. Off with his head." "No. Wait," cried the Hatter. He ran out of the court. Next, the white rabbit called the cook. "What is in the tarts?" asked the king. "Pepper," shouted the cook. She would not say anything else and threw a pot at the jury. Then, the dormouse was called. He mumbled something, then fell asleep. Alice was watching. She was slowly growing taller again. The king pointed at her. "You. What do you know about the case?" "Nothing," said Alice. "Then leave the court," said the king. "You have no right to speak." "I have just as much right as you," said Alice. She was very tall now. "You are just a pack of cards." "Off with her head," shouted the queen. But Alice wasn't afraid. "You are only cards. You can't hurt me." Suddenly, all the cards flew up into the air. They spun around her like a storm. Chapter 9, Alice Wakes Up. Alice closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she was back by the riverbank. Her sister was still reading her book. Alice was lying in the grass. She sat up. "Oh. What a strange dream," she said. She remembered the white rabbit, the Mad Hatter, the queen, the cat. She laughed. Then she stood up and ran home. She had a very curious story to tell. The end.